The 2012 Springfield High School graduation rate was 56.6%. That was up from 52.1% in 2011. Now, those without a high school diploma are more likely to have a lower paying job and not be able to succeed financially and psychologically in life. Well, the Springfield Stay-in-School initiative was launched early this year to promote daily attendance in school. And here to explain how it works is Dora Robinson, president of the United Way, along with Patricia Spradley from the Springfield School District and Denise Cogman from Springfield School Volunteers, all partners in this new initiative. We'll start with you, Pat. Talk about this area that's suffering from low attendance and kids not graduating from high school. What are some factors that go into this?
Well, it is rather complex, Liz, but things like primarily poverty in an urban district like Springfield, but you have everything from, unfortunately, sometimes lack of parental involvement. You have students who are not fully engaged in the classroom, so that we need more things to do just that. And you have a host of other reasons in terms of some of the older students that we have, some students that are parents, and just a cadre of things that make it very challenging for students to not only attend school, but to stay in school.
And of course, you guys are trying to change all of that by partnering together. Talk about some of the initiatives that the Stay-in-School program will have and offer.
Yeah, so we kicked off early in the spring, and we have about three or four different strategies. One is a public awareness media campaign to educate people about the significance and the importance and what it means if our youngsters don't go to school, what the consequences are. And then the second is to really come up with creative ways of engaging parents and helping them also understand the significance, but get tips and information about how they can motivate their children and how to support their youngsters' engagement. And then the third is to work more directly with the schools, the teachers, the principals, and offering incentives. And this is a kit that you see here. We've developed kits, and within those kits are incentives for youngsters, like pens, pencils, bracelets, all kinds of things, buttons that send us, the message. And then the fourth is this attendance cup that the Young People's Council actually came up with. And this is to really promote friendly competition within the schools around improving attendance. And so there will be two different kinds of trophies, one for improved attendance and the other for best attendance, because we have some schools that are doing okay. And then we have other schools that where there's a lot of room for, in this case, this was developed by our young people. So there are multiple strategies that we're involved in.
And one other thing I just wanted to add is that we are really fortunate in Springfield to have an awful lot of community partners that are helping us to get the word out at large to the community, and to help work with parents with us, along with us, because as I mentioned earlier, it's a very monumental endeavor, and it takes all of us to help engage and re-engage students into.
And just like you were mentioning, one of the partners is Springfield Schools Volunteer. Denise, explain how this will be a positive impact on a child being able to graduate from high school.
Well, I think one of the interesting aspects of the Stay-in-School initiative for us was the focus on daily attendance and how important just coming to school every day is. So immediately we thought about our volunteers and what role they can play in spreading the word about this initiative. We have more than 2,000 volunteers each year who are meeting with young people one-on-one or in small groups every day. In particular, our mentors, we really have been sending them information, sharing with them some of those initiatives to give to their mentees, we call them. And there's some data regarding youth who are mentored, and the fact that their attendance is generally about 52% higher than youth who aren't mentored. They're 37% less likely to skip classes. And we've done some studies just in our own small program, and we've noticed that about 80% of the students being mentored in our program had attendance rates higher than the overall attendance in the district. And Pat is one of those mentors who's been working with a young lady since she was in 4th grade, and I believe she's a freshman in high school this year.
Wow. Talk about that relationship with her.
Well, it really is about relationships, so you chose the operative word. And the particular young woman that I'm working with, again, some of the same challenges in terms of where she lives, in terms of her actually being almost a mother figure to some of her siblings. So the initial relationship was really around helping her understand that her primary responsibility was to go to school, and how we, the district at large, along with Springfield School Volunteers and other partners like United Way, can all rally together to help provide those supports.
Exactly.
One other thing that I didn't mention was we also, especially through the Springfield Parent Academy, we're working with the Pupil Services, Dr. Marianne Morris and her team, to help develop classes for parents so that they understand the significance of attendance, especially chronic absenteeism, which really impacts our attendance rate. So we're really, again, fortunate that we have the community partners that we do to help us, you know, really change things.
And what are some of the goals that you guys have in mind? What are some goals you want to see accomplished?
Well, we set out over a 3-year period to improve high school graduation rates. So that's one of the major indicators. At the end of 3 years, did we see an improvement? And then we're also tracking over the next 3 years a reduction in chronic truancy. Truancy. And then the third is an increase in school attendance. And so those are the 3 areas that we will be tracking. And the wonderful thing of working with the school department is that they have a department and leadership in the expertise and things already in place where we can get that information pretty quickly, and we'll be able to report it to the community on a quarterly basis. I mean, this attendance cup, the way it's set up, the competition will allow for us to communicate every quarter what schools are tracking up, what schools are tracking down, what schools are maintaining. But I think it's more important for us to think about, are we getting the message out to the parents? And we also know from data that certain behaviors and attitudes about school attendance begins early, very early, preschool. And so if youngsters believe or have an experience where it's okay if they miss, and those behaviors begin to be modeled throughout their educational experience, the consequences, though, each year becomes greater. And there's, you know, the data indicates that if kids miss X number of days of school, they're less likely to be able to catch up on reading assignments. And in some cases, the entire class suffers because teachers are required then to slow down to try to bring those students up that miss class. So it has a pretty serious impact.
It's so interconnected. I think just like Pat was saying about the reasons are multitudinous, the impacts, they're just layered.
And it talks about the importance of having, like, Springfield Schools Volunteers, where you can have somebody that can mentor that child and show them the importance of staying in school and going to school and graduating, and how important that is for their future.
And it's interesting because, you know, we think about, okay, kids going to school every day, but then, okay, well, these are the kids that have excused absences. It still has the same impact on learning. So, you know, and so what I've learned through this process is that young people where the parents are taking them out for medical appointments or early vacations because of the timing, that has an impact. While it appears to be pretty simple, or it doesn't seem like it would be so serious because it's planned and it's very intentional, it still has the same impact.
But those early interventions that were mentioned are critical, because then we can establish the habits early on. And so when parents understand, even when they're bringing their children to preschool, the importance of the learning or the learning loss that occurs when they don't bring them. Once that habit is established early on, by the time they enter into the system, it is a habit, and then it's much easier to maintain going forward.
Gotcha.
So
Right.
we're excited about working with even partners like the whole initiative Reading by Grade 3 and
Yeah.
all of the working with all of the early preschool programs. That's
Right.
where it really begins.
Great. And if anybody wants more information, rather, whether they're a parent, whether they want to be part of the Springfield Schools Volunteers, they can go on our website. We're going to have all this information right there for
Yeah,
everybody to
very
grab.
great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, ladies.
Thank you.
you.